ConverseNation is a piece that's going to examine issues of wealth and poverty within our own community here in Cincinnati, how we look at these things, how we address them, how we feel about them, how they affect each of us, no matter what our socioeconomic level might be. And then to take those and to broaden our sights to a global community and really be able to see how do these things not only affect others differently, but how do they affect them in the same way? And how are those people that we may not feel that we have any connection to really just a reflection of ourselves in many ways? The CrisisArt Festival is this really amazing little festival that I discovered a few years ago that is all about addressing how art is in crisis and how people are in crisis, and how these two things can meet each other in order to not only help art find a better place and a better footing in this world, but to help peoples who are in crisis. So when we say that, we mean countries, we mean socioeconomic people, classes, we mean races, genders, all kinds of things. The people who are experiencing oppression, crisis, difficulties in the world in which they live. So taking a piece like ConverseNation that's examining wealth and poverty and where we stand within our community and within a global view of these things to a festival like the CrisisArt Festival is really a wonderful step forward in examining how does this, as a piece of art, do more than just reflect the problems back to our audience. How can it take a step forward towards helping people who might be in these situations? Because as artists, we are making our art for an audience, but we can't always get outside our art and have an outside eye to view whether or not the message behind the art is successful. We can gauge it through how an audience responds, but by that point, in some ways, it's almost too late because we don't know if what we've made really hits home with the message we're trying to give. And one of the really wonderful boons that the CrisisArt Festival offers to us is it gives us this almost meeting of the minds of artists from many different communities, from the United States, from other countries, Europe, Asia, and so on, to come forward and say whether or not the art you're making is a successful tool towards expanding and exploring the subject that you are creating about. So it's really wonderful because you can have somebody from a community that might not be anything like yours come forward and say, that really touched me because I see that same thing echoed in my own community. Or on the other side of that, you can have someone come to you and say, I didn't understand what you were trying to accomplish. And as artists, that's very important for us because then before we come back to our own community, we can adjust and recreate and reposition the things we're trying to say in order to make them much more clear and effective for our own community.